How are we doing, everyone? In this video, we are going to conclude the fundamental analysis chapter. So we've just run through the different types of fundamentals. We've spoken about central banks, we've spoken about geopolitical issues, and we've spoken about economic data. Okay, so that is the hierarchy of fundamental analysis. We have three different types with different levels of importance. Central banks being at the top, we want to see what the central banks are doing, interest rate decisions and monetary policy. In the middle, we have geopolitical issues. So these are the real world events, the happenings that we want to follow to gauge where currencies are going to move. And then we have economic data, which is all of the smaller pieces of information regarding unemployment, CPI, GDP, retail sales, consumer spending, all of these smaller pieces of economic data that can cause spikes in the market. So there are three different types, and they all have different levels of importance, as we've just spoken about in all the previous videos. So to conclude then, when following fundamentals, there are a few things we want to do. We're going to follow the monthly interest rates and monetary policy statements from the central banks. We also want to remain aware of any geopoliticals that are going on via the news. So all we need to do to keep in the loop with geopoliticals is follow the news and have a little hunt around here and there for any headlines and any changes and progressions in geopolitical events. We then also want to make sure we are marking up notable economic data before the trading session, before the trading week begins. If we do this, we know what to avoid. We can filter our trades. We know what might provide some interesting economics and interesting fundamental analysis. And we also know when the smaller spikes of data are going to happen so that we can avoid these and avoid unnecessary losses. So it's important to remember that fundamentals are just 20%, okay? I would say 20% maximum of our analysis strategy, okay? We are going to be 80% technical, and we're going to be focusing on what the chart is providing at the time, because fundamentals can lag, and fundamentals can also just completely not show on the charts in the short-term trading opportunities. We use fundamentals as an additional confluence to add confidence and clarity to our trades. It's not going to be the core of our trading, and we shouldn't be trying to trade news releases, and we shouldn't be focusing solely on fundamentals, okay? These are just an additional thing we can use to filter our trades, to prepare ideas on trend direction, and to trade logically with additional confluence and additional confidence as well. So fundamentals are going to primarily be used to boost confidence and to boost clarity on market direction. They're also going to be used to filter trades. Okay, that's how we're going to use economic data. If we don't want to take unnecessary losses, if we can understand when these news spikes are going to occur, we can protect positions or we can avoid positions and just completely cut out the possibility of a loss. So fundamentals are only 20% of the strategy that we're going to be using. Hopefully the previous videos have provided you with the information on how we're going to use them and how we can use them to the best of our abilities and to use them to our advantage, to gain that extra confidence, to gain that extra clarity, and to filter out those possibilities of losing trades, okay, unnecessary losses. So then there are some resources that we're going to use. We have spoken about these in the other videos. First of all being the Forex Factory. This is the economic data calendar that I personally use. This is the one that I use because you can filter by currency. So you can take out the currencies you don't trade. You can also filter by importance and impact, okay? Personally, I filter out everything except for the red, the high impact data, because everything else doesn't have too much of an effect on the market. And I don't really want to cloud my mind and confuse myself with this low and medium impact data. So Forex Factory for me is the best. Alternatives are FX Street and Daily FX. We will be doing a video after this to finalize the chapter, just to show you how to use these different resources, okay? So I will show you how to use Forex Factory, how you can filter it to the best of your abilities and to the advantage of your personal trading and the currencies and the commodities that you trade. For geopolitical tracking then, we're going to use just general news, okay? Keep up to date with general news. I mean, everyone knows about Brexit. If you want to dive deeper, which is of course advised, you can look at The Economist, you can look at Bloomberg and CNBC, okay? These are three good economic news anchors, so to speak, that you can actually follow via apps and via the magazines in order to hold clarity on which way geopoliticals are moving the market and where supply and demand is going to be moving for currencies and commodities based on real world economics. So that all in terms of resources. We know that for tracking that central bank information, we're going to want to use an economic calendar, a forex factory, or FX Street or Daily FX. Also, for tracking the smaller economic data, we can use this as well. This is going to schedule us in when the data is happening, when the interest rates are happening, when the monetary policy statements are being released, and when all of the smaller data is being released as well. And we will also see forecasts and previous results as well. So this helps us to gauge what's going to be happening and whether we're seeing an improvement or a decline over the previous month's data or the previous week or whenever it is. So data calendar is going to be at the backbone of our trading, and not because we're trying to trade this, but because we can use this to filter our trades, okay? Avoid unnecessary losses and also trade on the right side of the trend. And then for the geopoliticals, to stay in the loop with recessions, wars, pandemics, anything like this, you can just track the news, The Economist, Bloomberg, and CNBC. That is essentially how we are going to run our fundamentals as a filter, in a way, behind the technicals that we trade. So most of our focus is going to be on technicals, but this is what we're going to do from a fundamental standpoint. So we're soon now going to be switching over into the technical analysis chapter after the resources video that comes up next, in which I'm going to show you how to use each of these different news and economic data calendars to your advantage and to trade confidently and with an additional layer of clarity so that you're not just simply looking at candles on a chart. So hopefully you found some value in those previous videos and in this chapter. And hopefully you got a better idea now on how I actually use fundamentals inside of my own trading. So I do like to give it some mention and give it some focus, but by no means will I be putting most of my efforts into fundamentals because the money is made on the charts. So in the next video, we will talk about some of the resources that I've just mentioned. I'll show you Forex Factory Calendar, and I'll also show you some examples of running through the news. And I'll show you some monetary policy statements as well, and potentially look at how we can actually read those to find the information that we want from them. So thank you for watching. Hope you found value, and I'll see you in the next video when we see these fundamental resources in action.